The blood on Lily Vanderbilt's hands had long since dried when the stranger with storm-colored eyes rode into Saint Elmo, Colorado on a dust-covered bay mare. But she still felt the weight of it every waking moment. She stood behind the bar of the Lucky Dollar Saloon, pouring whiskey with steady hands that belied the trembling in her soul, watching as the afternoon sun of June, 1883, cast long shadows across the worn floorboards. The man who dismounted outside was tall, broad-shouldered, with dark hair that curled slightly beneath his weathered hat, and when he pushed through the batwing doors, his gaze found hers immediately, as if drawn by some invisible thread. Lily looked away first, focusing on the glass she was cleaning, rubbing the same spot over and over until she realized what she was doing and forced herself to stop. The stranger approached the bar with the easy confidence of a man comfortable in his own skin, his spurs jingling softly with each step. Up close, she could see the dust of hard travel on his clothes, the weariness around his eyes that spoke of long miles and longer thoughts. "Whiskey," he said, his voice low and rough like gravel underfoot. "Whatever you have that is worth drinking." "It is all the same here," Lily replied, her voice flat, emotionless. She poured him a generous measure without meeting his eyes, sliding the glass across the scarred wooden surface. "2 bits." He laid down a silver dollar instead, and when she reached for it, his fingers brushed hers. The contact lasted only a moment, but it was enough to make her jerk back as if burned. Something flickered across his face, concern perhaps, or curiosity, but she turned away before she could read it fully. "Keep the change," he said. "I do not take charity." The words came out harsher than she intended, sharp as broken glass. She pushed the dollar back toward him, keeping only the required coins. "It is not charity. It is appreciation for good service. I poured whiskey. Nothing more, nothing less. I did not do anything to deserve extra." Lily could feel her jaw tightening, the familiar walls rising up around her heart. This was safer. Distance was always safer. The stranger studied her with those gray eyes, and she felt exposed under his gaze, as if he could see through the careful mask she wore to the broken pieces beneath. "Everyone deserves kindness, miss. You do not know me." She finally met his eyes, her own hazel ones hard and cold. "You do not know what I have done." He took a slow sip of his whiskey, never breaking eye contact. "I know that whatever burden you are carrying, it has worn grooves in your shoulders. I know that you pour drinks like you are afraid to feel anything. And I know that when I touched your hand just now, you flinched like you had been struck. That is none of your concern, stranger." Lily grabbed the rag and began wiping down the bar again, needing something to do with her hands, needing to break the intensity of his attention. "Drink your whiskey and leave me be." Instead, he settled onto the stool as if he planned to stay a while. "Name is Adam Ashford. I am looking for work and a place to rest for more than a night or two. Been riding for 3 weeks straight and my horse could use the break even if I could not. Try the marshal. I am just the help here." "I am not asking the marshal. I am asking you." There was something in his voice, a gentleness that made her throat tight. Sometimes the help knows more about a town than anyone else. Before Lily could respond, the saloon door banged open and Marcus Webb stumbled in, already drunk though it was barely past 3 in the afternoon. Her stomach clenched. Marcus owned the Lucky Dollar and he owned her debts too, which meant in all the ways that mattered, he owned her. He was a thick man, running to fat in his middle years, with small eyes that held a mean gleam when he had been drinking, which was most of the time. "Lily girl," he called out, his voice too loud in the quiet space. "Where is my afternoon refreshment? You know I like my glass ready when I come down." "Sorry, Marcus." She reached for a bottle, hating herself for the automatic apology, for the way she made herself smaller in his presence. "I will have it right away. See that you do." He lumbered toward the bar, his eyes sliding over Adam with suspicion. "Who are you?" "Just a traveler passing through." Adam's voice had changed, become more careful, more measured. Lily recognized the tone of a man assessing a potential threat. "Having a drink before I move on." "Well, move on faster. I do not like strangers lingering around my place." Marcus grabbed the glass Lily had poured, downing half of it in one swallow. "And you, girl, I need you to clean the rooms upstairs. Mrs. Henderson is coming tonight and she is particular." "I cleaned them yesterday." "Well, clean them again, and make sure you wear that blue dress I bought you, the one that shows more skin." His eyes traveled over her in a way that made her want to scrub herself raw. "You look too much like a mourner in all that black." "I am in mourning." The words slipped out before she could stop them. Marcus's face darkened. "Your brother has been dead for 8 months. It is time you moved on. You owe me, remember? Room, board, your brother's debts, all of it. The least you can do is look pleasant for my customers." Adam's hand had tightened around his glass, his knuckles white, but he said nothing. Lily was grateful for that. The last thing she needed was someone trying to play hero on her behalf. Heroes got hurt or worse, and she had enough ghosts haunting her dreams. "I will change," she said quietly, defeat in every syllable. "That is my good girl." Marcus reached out and pinched her cheek, too hard to be affectionate. "See how easy life is when you cooperate." He wandered off to his usual table in the corner, calling for cards and company. The other afternoon drinkers, men with nowhere better to be and nothing better to do, gravitated toward him like moths to a flame. Lily focused on her work, polishing glasses that were already clean, rearranging bottles that did not need rearranging. "How much do you owe him?" Adam's voice was quiet, meant for her ears alone. "I said it is none of your concern." "Maybe I am making it my concern." Lily turned on him then, her carefully controlled composure cracking. Why would you do that? You do not know me. You do not owe me anything." "I am nobody, nothing. Just a woman working off a debt in a saloon in a dying mining town. You should ride out of here and forget you ever stopped." "What if I do not want to forget?" His gray eyes held hers, and there was something in them that made her chest ache, something that looked almost like hope, though she had forgotten what that felt like. "What if I think you deserve better than this?" "I do not deserve kindness," she said, and her voice broke on the last word. "I do not deserve anything but what I have got." Adam leaned forward, his voice intense but not unkind. "Then let me show you what you truly deserve." The words hung between them, a promise and a challenge both. Lily wanted to believe him, wanted it so badly that it terrified her. But belief was a luxury she could not afford, not anymore, not after what had happened to Thomas. "I need to go change," she said instead, pulling away from the bar, from him, from the dangerous possibility that maybe, just maybe, her life could be different. "You should finish your drink and go." She did not wait for his response, disappearing through the back door and up the narrow stairs to the tiny room she called home. It was barely large enough for a bed and a washstand, with a single window that looked out over the alley. She sank onto the thin mattress, pressing her hands to her face, trying to hold back the tears that wanted to fall. 8 months since Thomas died. 8 months since she watched him cough up blood in this very room, his body ravaged by the lung sickness that claimed so many miners in these mountains. 8 months since she made the choice that damned her. He had needed medicine, real medicine from Denver, not the snake oil the local doctor peddled. It cost $50, a fortune she did not have. Marcus had offered her a loan, his piggy eyes gleaming with an offer that was more threat than kindness. She had taken it, because what else could she do? Let her little brother die when she had the power to save him. Except the medicine had not worked. Thomas died anyway, drowning in his own lungs while Lily held his hand and lied about how everything would be all right. And now she was trapped, working 16-hour days 6 days a week, watching every penny disappear into Marcus's coffers, knowing she would never earn enough to be free. She had tried. God, how she had tried. She had asked Marcus about her debt, about how much was left, and he had just laughed. Interest, he said. Room and board, he said. You are costing me money by living here, he said. The numbers never went down, only up. A knock at the door startled her. 5 minutes, Lily girl, Marcus's voice called through the thin wood. Mrs. Henderson will be here soon, and I want you pretty for her. She changed into the blue dress, hating the way it clung to her figure, the way the neckline dipped lower than was proper. But proper was another luxury she could not afford. She pinned up her long auburn hair, pinched her cheeks for color, and looked at herself in the cracked mirror. The woman staring back was a stranger, hollow-eyed and haunted. When she returned downstairs, Adam was still there. He had moved to a table near the window, a plate of food in front of him that he was barely touching. His eyes found her immediately, and something in his expression shifted, darkened, not with desire but with anger on her behalf. She avoided him for the rest of the evening, serving drinks and dodging wandering hands, smiling when expected and laughing at jokes that were not funny. Mrs. Henderson arrived, a wealthy widow from Denver who owned several mines in the area, and Marcus fawned over her like she was royalty. Lily served them dinner, expensive steaks and imported wine, and pretended not to notice how Marcus's hand crept higher on her back each time she leaned over to pour. Through it all, Adam watched. He nursed a single glass of whiskey for 3 hours, his presence a strange comfort and an uncomfortable reminder both. She wanted him to leave, to stop looking at her like she was worth saving. But she also wanted him to stay, to keep being the barrier between her and the rest of the world, even if he did not know he was doing it. Finally, near midnight, the saloon began to empty. Mrs. Henderson retired to one of the upstairs rooms. Marcus passed out drunk at his table, and the remaining patrons stumbled out into the night. Lily began the nightly ritual of cleaning, stacking chairs and sweeping floors, her body aching with exhaustion. "Let me help." Adam's voice made her jump. She had thought he left with the others. "You cannot be back here. Marcus will have a fit. Marcus is snoring loud enough to wake the dead. I think we are safe." He took the broom from her hands before she could protest. "You wash, I will sweep. We will be done in half the time." "Why are you doing this?" The question came out plaintive, confused. "Why are you still here?" Adam paused in his sweeping, looking at her with those steady gray eyes. "Because when I rode into town today, I was looking for something, though I did not know what. Been drifting since my father's ranch burned down in Texas 2 years back, trying to find a reason to stop moving. Then I walked into this saloon and I saw you, and I thought maybe I found it. That is crazy. You do not know anything about me. I know enough." He resumed sweeping, the bristles making soft sounds against the wood. "I know you are strong enough to survive something that would break most people. I know you are loyal, because you are still here paying off a debt for someone who is already gone. And I know you are scared, because you keep pushing away the one person who is offering to help you." Lily set down the glass she had been washing, her hands trembling. "I killed him." The words fell into the silence like stones into a well. Adam stopped sweeping, but he did not look shocked or disgusted, only sad. "Your brother. I thought I was saving him. I borrowed money from Marcus, sold my mother's wedding ring, even worked extra hours at the laundry trying to scrape together enough for the medicine. But it was all for nothing. Thomas died anyway, and I just made it worse. If I had not borrowed the money, I would not be trapped here. I would have been free to leave to start over somewhere else. But I thought I could save him, and instead I damned us both. That is not killing someone. That is loving them. Adam set the broom aside and crossed to where she stood. You did everything you could. The fact that it was not enough does not make you a murderer. Then why do I feel like one? The tears came then, finally, hot and bitter. Why do I wake up every morning wishing it had been me instead? Adam's arms came around her, strong and warm, and for a moment Lily froze, every instinct screaming at her to pull away. But she was so tired of being strong, so tired of carrying everything alone. She let herself lean into him, let herself cry for the first time since Thomas's funeral, great heaving sobs that shook her entire body. He held her through it all, one hand stroking her hair, murmuring soft words that were more comfort than meaning. When the storm finally passed, she found herself sitting on one of the chairs, Adam kneeling in front of her, his handkerchief in her hands. "I am sorry," she whispered, wiping at her face. "I should not have done that. Why not? You are allowed to grieve. You are allowed to hurt." "I do not have time for grief. I have work to do, a debt to pay. How much?" "What? How much do you owe Marcus?" Adam's voice was firm, businesslike. "Exactly." "I do not know. He says it keeps growing with interest and living expenses." "Last time I asked, which was 3 months ago, he said $200. Adam's jaw tightened. "And how much was the original loan?" "50 for the medicine, plus 20 for Thomas's funeral expenses." "So he has more than doubled it in 8 months. It was not a question. That is usury. It is illegal in most territories. This is not most territories. This is Saint Elmo, and Marcus practically owns this town." Lily stood, needing to move, needing to do something with the nervous energy thrumming through her. "The marshal is his cousin. The mayor owes him money. There is no one to appeal to, nowhere to go. Then we make our own justice. We," she turned to stare at him. "There is no we. You are leaving tomorrow, remember, moving on to wherever cowboys like you move on to. What if I told you I changed my mind?" Adam rose, closing the distance between them. "What if I told you I want to stay if you will let me?" "Why?" It was becoming her constant refrain, this question, this disbelief that anyone would choose to be part of her disaster of a life. "Because I have been alone for 2 years, drifting from town to town, taking odd jobs and sleeping under the stars, and I am tired. Tired of moving, tired of running from memories. I look at you, and I see someone who understands what it is like to lose everything. Maybe together we can find something worth building." That is the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard. But her voice lacked conviction, and they both knew it. Maybe, or maybe it is the smartest thing either of us has ever done. He reached out, tucking a loose strand of hair behind her ear, the gesture so tender it made her ache. "Let me help you, Lily. Let me show you that you do deserve kindness and care and a life that is more than just surviving." She wanted to say yes. The word was right there on her tongue, desperate to escape, but fear held it back, fear and the bitter knowledge that everyone she let close ended up hurt. "I need to think about it." "Fair enough." Adam stepped back, giving her space. "I am staying at the boarding house on Main Street, Mrs. Cooper's place. When you are ready to talk, you know where to find me." He left then, collecting his hat from the bar and walking out into the night. Lily stood in the empty saloon, the silence pressing down on her, and wondered if she had just made the biggest mistake of her life by not stopping him. She finished cleaning in a daze, her mind replaying every moment of their conversation, every word he had said. "Let me show you what you truly deserve." As if he knew, as if he could see into her heart and understand the desperate longing she tried so hard to bury. When she finally collapsed into bed, sleep was a long time coming. When it did, she dreamed of gray eyes and gentle hands, of a life where she was not constantly afraid, where happiness was something she was allowed to have. She woke to Marcus pounding on her door, shouting about breakfast and customers and laziness. The dream shattered, replaced by the harsh reality of another day. She dressed quickly, braided her hair, and hurried downstairs to start the coffee and fry the eggs and bacon that would feed the men who drifted in looking for food, before heading to the mines or the ranches, or wherever their work took them. Adam arrived with the breakfast crowd, taking a table near the window again. He ordered coffee and biscuits, then pulled out a newspaper and appeared to read, though Lily noticed his eyes followed her movements around the room. "Who is that fellow?" Martha Jenkins, the laundress who sometimes helped out at the Lucky Dollar, asked as she came in through the back with clean linens. "He has been watching you like a hawk watches a rabbit. Just a drifter passing through." Lily kept her voice neutral, uninterested. "Handsome drifter. And young, too, cannot be more than 25 or so." Martha was in her 40s, widowed twice, and had appointed herself Lily's unofficial guardian since Thomas died. "You could do worse." "I am not looking to do anything at all. Maybe you should be. You are what, 22, 23? Too young to be wasting away in this place, working yourself to the bone for a man like Marcus Webb. I have a debt to pay. You have a life to live." Martha set down the linens and gripped Lily's shoulders, her work-roughened hands firm but kind. "Thomas would not want this for you. He would want you to be happy, to find someone who treats you right, to have babies and a home and all the things you girls used to dream about when you first came here." Lily blinked back tears. She and Thomas had come to Saint Elmo 5 years ago, orphaned and desperate, following rumors of work in the silver mines. Thomas had been 17, she barely 18, and they had been so sure they could make a life for themselves in Colorado. For a while, it had even worked. Thomas made decent money in the mines. Lily found work at the laundry, and they rented a small house on the edge of town. They had been poor but happy, building something that was theirs. Then the lung sickness came, and with it the slow destruction of everything they had built. Medical bills ate through their savings. Then Thomas's inability to work cut off their income, and finally the desperate scramble for money that ended with Lily in debt to Marcus Webb. "I cannot think about happiness right now," Lily said, gently removing herself from Martha's grip. "I can only think about surviving." "Sometimes those are the same thing, child. You just have to be brave enough to reach for it." The morning rush kept Lily too busy to think about Martha's words, but they lingered in the back of her mind, a persistent whisper. Adam left after breakfast, tipping his hat to her as he went, and she told herself she was relieved. Having him around was distracting, confusing, made her want things she had no right to want. But that afternoon, when the lunch crowd had cleared and she was wiping down tables, he returned. This time he was not alone. Marshal Tom Webb, Marcus's cousin, walked beside him, and both men wore serious expressions. Lily's heart sank. Whatever Adam had done, it was about to make her life infinitely more complicated. "Marcus in?" the marshal asked, his tone brusque, "in his office." Lily pointed toward the back, where Marcus conducted his various business dealings. "Is there a problem?" "Not for you, miss. Just need to have a word with your employer." They disappeared into the back, and Lily stood frozen, her mind racing through possibilities. Had Adam complained about Marcus? Accused him of usury? If so, it would only make things worse. Marcus had connections, power, and a vindictive streak a mile wide. He would take his anger out on her, make her life even more miserable than it already was. She was still standing there, paralyzed with anxiety, when the office door flew open and Marcus stormed out, his face purple with rage. "You," he snarled, pointing at Lily. "This is your doing." "I did not do anything." "Like hell you did not. You talked to this stranger, filled his head with lies about me, made him think I was cheating you somehow. Adam emerged from the office, the marshal behind him. I came to you with concerns about the legality of your business practices, Marcus. Miss Vanderbilt had nothing to do with it. Do not play innocent with me, girl. I know you have been making eyes at this cowboy, trying to get him to fight your battles. Marcus advanced on her, and Lily stumbled backward, her hip hitting a table. Well, it will not work. The marshal here says everything is legal and proper. You still owe me every penny, and you will work until it is paid. Actually, the marshal said, his voice carrying an edge of authority, I said I would need to review the books. There is a difference, Marcus. Mr. Ashford here raised some valid concerns about interest rates and living expenses. Colorado law is pretty clear about what constitutes fair lending practices. Marcus's face went even redder, if that was possible. You are taking his side. He is a stranger and I am your family, which is exactly why I am going to do this by the book, so no one can accuse me of favoritism. The marshal's tone suggested he was less than pleased with the situation. Get me your ledgers, Marcus, all of them. I will review the terms of Miss Vanderbilt's debt and make a determination. This is ridiculous. This is my business, my property. The lady is not property, Adam said quietly, but there was steel beneath the words. And if your business is legitimate, you have nothing to worry about. For a moment, Lily thought Marcus might actually strike him. Violence crackled in the air like lightning before a storm. But the marshal stepped between them, his hand resting on the gun at his hip. Enough. Marcus, get the ledgers. Now. Marcus cast one more furious glare at Lily, promising retribution, before stalking back to his office. The marshal followed, leaving Lily and Adam alone in the saloon. What did you do? Lily's voice was barely a whisper. I asked questions. Did some research. Turns out there is a lawyer in town, fellow named Peterson, who was happy to explain Colorado's lending laws to me. What Marcus is doing is illegal. The interest he is charging, the way he is calculating your living expenses, all of it. You should not owe him more than the original $70, probably less considering how much you have already worked off. He will make me pay for this. She was shaking, reaction setting in. Even if the marshal rules in my favor, Marcus will find a way to make my life hell. Not if you do not work for him anymore. I have to work for him. Where else would I go? Adam reached into his pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. Mrs. Cooper is looking for help at the boarding house. Room, board, and $1 a week. It is not much, but it is honest work for an honest woman. I talked to her this morning, told her about you. She said to come by any time. Lily stared at the paper as if it might bite her. You had no right to do that, to talk about me, to interfere in my life. You are right. I did not. But I did it anyway because someone needed to, and you were not going to do it yourself. His gray eyes held hers, intense and unwavering. You said you do not deserve kindness. I am showing you what you truly deserve, which is a chance. A real chance at a life that is yours, not his. I am scared. The admission came out small, broken. I know, but I am right here and I am not going anywhere. Let me help you, please. Before she could answer, the marshal emerged from the office, ledgers in hand. Miss Vanderbilt, I am going to need a few days to review these books. In the meantime, you keep working as usual. Mr. Webb, you keep treating Miss Vanderbilt with respect, or I will be back, cousin or not. Understood. Marcus appeared in the doorway, sullenly nodding. Good. I will be in touch. The marshal tipped his hat and left, taking the ledgers with him. The silence that followed was suffocating. Marcus stared at Lily with undisguised hatred, and she knew with absolute certainty that her life had just become infinitely more dangerous. Get back to work, Marcus finally said, his voice low and venomous. And you, cowboy, get out of my establishment. You are not welcome here anymore." "Gladly." Adam turned to Lily. "I will be at Mrs. Cooper's if you need me. Any time, day or night." He left, and Lily forced herself to move, to return to her tasks, to pretend that her world had not just shifted on its axis. Marcus retreated to his office, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the glasses behind the bar. The rest of the day passed in tense silence. Marcus did not emerge again, and the few customers who came in sensed the atmosphere and drank quietly before leaving. When evening came and Lily went to clean the upstairs rooms, she found Martha waiting for her. "I heard what happened," the older woman said without preamble. "The whole town is talking about it. That cowboy of yours just made himself Marcus Webb's enemy." "He is not my cowboy. And I did not ask him to do any of this." "Maybe not, but he did it anyway, which tells me something about his character." Martha pulled Lily into one of the rooms and closed the door, her expression serious. "Listen to me, child. Marcus is going to come after you for this. He cannot stand being challenged, especially not in public, and especially not by someone defending a woman he sees as his property. You need to get out of here." "Where would I go? How would I live?" "Mrs. Cooper's place. I heard Adam Ashford secured you a position there. It is good, honest work, and Sarah Cooper is a decent woman. She will treat you right." "I cannot just leave. The marshal said to keep working as usual." "The marshal said that to keep the peace. But you and I both know that once he rules in your favor, and he will because Marcus is blatant about his cheating, Marcus will not let it go. He will find ways to make you suffer, to punish you for embarrassing him. You need to be somewhere safe when that happens." Lily sank onto the edge of the bed, her legs suddenly weak. Everything Martha was saying made sense, but the idea of leaving, of taking that leap, terrified her. The Lucky Dollar might be a prison, but it was a familiar prison. She knew the rules, knew how to survive. Leaving meant uncertainty, risk, the possibility of failure. "What if I cannot do it?" she whispered. "What if I am not strong enough? You are the strongest person I know. You survived losing your parents, raising your brother, watching him die, and working for Marcus Webb for 8 months. If you can do all that, you can do anything." Martha squeezed her hand. "And you will not be alone. You will have me and Mrs. Cooper and that stubborn cowboy who seems determined to save you whether you want saving or not." Despite everything, Lily almost smiled. "He is stubborn, is not he? Like a mule. But he has kind eyes and he looks at you like you are precious. Do not throw that away because you are scared." That night, after the saloon closed and she was alone in her tiny room, Lily made a decision. She would go to Mrs. Cooper's. Not because Adam had arranged it, not because Martha had pushed her, but because somewhere deep inside, beneath all the fear and guilt and self-loathing, there was still a part of her that wanted to live. Really live, not just survive. She packed her few belongings in the carpet bag that had come with her from Kansas all those years ago, everything she owned fitting easily into the worn leather. It was not much to show for 23 years of life, but it was hers, and that counted for something. The next morning, before Marcus woke from his usual drunken stupor, Lily slipped out of the Lucky Dollar for the last time. The sun was just rising over the mountains, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold, and the air was crisp and clean. She walked through the quiet streets of Saint Elmo, past the general store and the assay office and the church with its white steeple reaching toward heaven. Mrs. Cooper's boarding house was a large 2-story building on Main Street, freshly painted and well-maintained. Lily climbed the front steps, her heart pounding, and knocked on the door. A woman in her 50s answered, gray hair pulled back in a neat bun, wearing a practical calico dress and an appraising expression. "You must be Lily Vanderbilt. Adam said you might come by." though I expected you to wait until a more reasonable hour. I am sorry. I can come back later if this is inconvenient." "Nonsense. Come in, child. You look like you have been through the wars." Mrs. Cooper ushered her inside, into a front hall that smelled of coffee and baking bread. "Adam is already up, out back splitting wood. Man has more energy than is natural before breakfast." She led Lily through to a large, sunny kitchen where a coffee pot sat on the stove and a basket of fresh rolls cooled on the counter. "Sit. Eat. You are skin and bones." Lily obeyed, too overwhelmed to argue. Mrs. Cooper poured coffee, thick and black and perfect, and pushed the rolls toward her. "Adam told me a bit about your situation. Sounds like Marcus Webb is even more of a snake than I thought, and my opinion of him was already pretty low. He is going to be angry when he realizes I left. Let him be angry. He has no claim on you, and once the marshal finishes reviewing those books, everyone in town will know it. Marcus Webb has been playing fast and loose with the law for years, thinking his connection to the marshal would protect him. But Tom Webb is an honest man, even if his cousin is not. He will rule fairly." "How can you be so sure?" "Because I have known Tom since he was in short pants, and underneath all that gruff exterior, he believes in doing right. It just sometimes takes him a while to get there." Mrs. Cooper sat down across from her, her blue eyes kind. "Now, let us talk about your position here. I need help with cooking, cleaning, laundry, all the things that come with running a boarding house. Hours are long, but not as long as what you were working. You will have Sundays off, room and board included, and $1 a week that is yours to keep. How does that sound?" "It sounds too good to be true." Lily heard the suspicion in her own voice and winced. "I am sorry. I am not used to people being kind without wanting something in return. I want your labor and I will pay you fairly for it. That is all. No strings, no hidden conditions. Just honest work for honest pay." Mrs. Cooper stood, dusting crumbs from her hands. "Your room is upstairs, second door on the right. Get yourself settled, then come back down and I will show you around. Welcome to your new life, Lily Vanderbilt." Lily climbed the stairs, her carpetbag in hand, and found the room Mrs. Cooper had indicated. It was small but clean, with a real bed covered in a quilt, a dresser with a mirror, and a window that looked out over the street. Morning light streamed through the glass, making everything glow. She set down her bag and sat on the edge of the bed, testing its firmness. It was the nicest place she had slept in months. Years, maybe. Slowly, carefully, she let herself believe that this might work, that she might actually have a chance at something better. A knock on the door frame made her look up. Adam stood there, dusty and sweaty from his work outside, his gray eyes soft with concern. "Mrs. Cooper said you were here. I am glad you came. Thank you for talking to her, for everything you have done. I do not know how to repay you." "I do not want repayment. I want you to be safe and happy and free from that bastard Marcus Webb." He leaned against the door frame, his arms crossed. "Mrs. Cooper is a good woman. She will treat you right. Why are you still here? In Saint Elmo, I mean. You said you were just passing through." Adam was quiet for a moment, his gaze distant. "I told you yesterday. I have been drifting for 2 years, looking for a reason to stop. I think I found it. Me." The word came out skeptical, disbelieving. "You." He met her eyes, and there was no hesitation in his expression, no doubt. "I know it sounds crazy. We have known each other all of 2 days. But there is something about you, Lily. Something that makes me want to stay to see where this goes. If you will let me." She did not know what to say to that. Part of her wanted to tell him to leave, to protect him from the disaster that seemed to follow her everywhere. But a larger part, the part that had been lonely for so long she had forgotten what connection felt like, wanted him to stay. "I am broken," she finally said. "Whatever you think you see in me, you are wrong. I am just a scared woman who does not know how to do anything except survive. Then let me help you learn. Let me show you that you are more than your worst moments, more than your fears." Adam pushed off from the door frame, coming to kneel in front of her, his hands gentle on her knees. "Let me show you what you truly deserve, which is someone who sees you, all of you, and chooses to stay anyway." Lily reached out, her fingers trembling as they traced the line of his jaw, feeling the scrape of stubble, the warmth of his skin. He held perfectly still, letting her explore, his eyes never leaving hers. "I do not know how to do this," she whispered. "I do not know how to let someone in." "Then we will figure it out together. One day at a time. No pressure, no expectations. Just us, learning each other." She wanted to kiss him. The urge was so strong it almost overwhelmed her. But fear held her back, that constant companion that whispered she did not deserve this, did not deserve him. Instead, she pulled back, breaking the contact. "I need time. To settle in, to figure out who I am without Marcus hanging over me. Can you give me that, all the time you need?" Adam stood, and if he was disappointed, he hit it well. "I am not going anywhere, Lily. I am staying right here in Saint Elmo, working odd jobs and bothering Mrs. Cooper for meals. And when you are ready, if you are ever ready, I will be here." He left her then, and Lily sat alone in her new room, her heart beating too fast, her mind whirling with possibilities and fears in equal measure. She had taken the first step. The rest would have to come in its own time. The next few days passed in a blur of activity. Mrs. Cooper kept her busy from dawn to dusk, teaching her the routines of the boarding house, introducing her to the residents, showing her how things were done. It was exhausting work, but satisfying in a way the lucky dollar had never been. Here, she was valued, appreciated, treated like a person instead of property. Adam was a constant presence, always nearby but never intrusive. He had taken a room at the boarding house as well, paying his way by helping with repairs and heavy lifting. Lily found herself watching for him, noticing the way he moved with quiet confidence, the way he was unfailingly polite to everyone, the way his eyes lit up when he saw her. On the fourth day, Marcus Webb came by. Lily was in the parlor, dusting the furniture, when Mrs. Cooper showed him in. Her heart lurched with anxiety, wondering if he was there to drag her back to Marcus. "Miss Vanderbilt," the marshal said, removing his hat. "I have completed my review of Marcus's ledgers. I thought you would want to know the results." "Of course." Her mouth was dry, her hands clenched tight around the dusting cloth. "The amount you actually owe Marcus Webb, accounting for the work you have already done, is $5.20. Everything above that is illegal interest and fabricated expenses. I have informed Marcus of this and instructed him to return any personal items you may have left at the Lucky Dollar. You are free and clear, Miss Vanderbilt." The words took a moment to penetrate. When they did, Lily's knees went weak and she sank onto the sofa. $5.20. Which, if you want my advice, you should pay immediately, so Marcus has no further claim on you whatsoever. The marshal's expression softened. "I am sorry I did not look into this sooner. I knew Marcus was a sharp operator, but I did not realize how far he had gone. You deserved better." "Thank you, Marshal, for doing the right thing." He nodded, replaced his hat, and left. Mrs. Cooper appeared in the doorway, smiling. "I thought you might want some good news. Adam is out back if you want to tell him." Lily found him behind the boarding house, chopping wood with steady, powerful strokes. He was in shirt sleeves despite the cool mountain air, and she could see the play of muscles beneath the fabric, the strength in his shoulders and arms. He looked up when she approached, his axe lowering. "Everything all right?" "Better than all right." The marshal came by. "I only owe Marcus $5.20. Everything else was illegal." The words tumbled out, breathless with relief and disbelief. "I am free, Adam. After 8 months of thinking I would never get out, I am finally free." His face broke into a grin, genuine and delighted. "That is wonderful news. See, I told you things would work out. Because of you. If you had not questioned Marcus, if you had not pushed the marshal to investigate, I would still be trapped there." She closed the distance between them, standing close enough to feel the heat radiating from his body. "You saved me. You saved yourself. You just needed someone to give you a little push in the right direction." His hand came up to cup her cheek, his touch gentle. "I am proud of you, Lily. You are so much stronger than you give yourself credit for." This time, she did not pull away. She let herself lean into his touch, let herself feel the connection that had been building between them since that first day. "I am still scared. Of feeling too much, of trusting too much, of losing what I have just found. Fear is not a bad thing. It means you care that what we have matters. But do not let it control you. Do not let it rob you of happiness because you are afraid it might end." Adam's thumb brushed across her cheekbone, a caress that made her shiver. "I am not going to hurt you. I am not going to leave. I am right here for as long as you will have me." "What if forever is not long enough?" The question came out barely a whisper. "Then we will find a way to make it longer." She kissed him then, rising up on her toes to press her lips to his. It was tentative at first, testing, learning the shape and taste of him. But when his arms came around her, pulling her close, she deepened the kiss, pouring 8 months of loneliness and fear and desperate hope into the connection. When they finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, Adam rested his forehead against hers. "I have been wanting to do that since the moment I saw you." "Then you should have done it sooner," he laughed, the sound warm and rich. "I was trying to be respectful, give you time to adjust. I am adjusted, and I am tired of being afraid." She took his hand, lacing their fingers together. "Show me what I truly deserve, Adam. Show me what it is like to be loved, to be cherished, to be someone's priority instead of their burden. Every single day for the rest of our lives," he promised, "starting right now." They stood there in the late morning sun, holding each other, and Lily felt something inside her begin to heal. The guilt over Thomas's death was still there, would probably always be there, but it no longer consumed her. The fear was still there too, but manageable now, tempered by the solid warmth of Adam's presence. That afternoon, Lily took $5.20 from the small savings she had managed to squirrel away and went to the Lucky Dollar. Marcus was behind the bar, his face like thunder when he saw her. "Come to gloat?" he asked, his voice dripping venom. "I came to pay my debt." She laid the money on the bar, each coin falling with a satisfying clink. "That is what I owe you according to the marshal. We are done, Marcus. I do not work for you, I do not owe you, and I never want to see you again. You think you are better than me now, because some cowboy filled your head with nonsense and you got yourself a new job." Marcus leaned forward, his eyes cruel. "You will be back. A month from now, maybe 2, when Mrs. Cooper realizes what a useless thing you are when your precious cowboy gets bored and moves on. You will come crawling back, begging me to take you in, and I will laugh in your face. I would rather starve." Lily met his gaze without flinching. "You tried to break me, Marcus. You tried to make me believe I was nothing, that I deserved nothing. But you failed. I am more than you ever gave me credit for, and I am going to spend the rest of my life proving it." She turned and walked out, her head high, her steps steady. Behind her, she heard Marcus curse, heard the sound of breaking glass as he threw something in rage. But she did not look back. That part of her life was over, finished, consigned to memory. Adam was waiting outside, leaning against the building, and when she emerged, he fell into step beside her. "How did it go?" "Exactly as expected. He is furious, but there is nothing he can do about it. I am free." She took his hand, reveling in the simple pleasure of the contact. "What do we do now? Whatever you want. Saint Elmo is ours to explore." They spent the afternoon walking through town, Adam pointing out places of interest, introducing her to people he had met in his few days there. Everyone was kind, welcoming, treating her like a person instead of Marcus Webb's property. It was a strange, wonderful feeling. As the sun began to set, they climbed the hill above town, finding a spot where they could look down on Saint Elmo spread out below, the buildings glowing gold in the fading light. The mountains rose around them, eternal and unchanging, and for the first time in months, Lily felt at peace. "Tell me about your family," she said, leaning against Adam's shoulder. "You said your father's ranch burned down. What happened?" Adam was quiet for a long moment, his arm tightening around her. "Fire started in the barn. We never figured out how. Maybe a lantern got knocked over, maybe it was lightning. Does not matter. By the time we saw the flames, it was too late. The barn went up like kindling and the wind carried embers to the house. My father tried to save the horses, got trapped inside. I pulled him out, but the smoke had already done its damage. He died 3 days later. I am so sorry." Lily turned in his embrace, looking up at his face. In the twilight, his features were shadowed, but she could see the old pain in his eyes. "Is that why you started drifting?" "Could not stay there. Everything reminded me of him, of what we had built together and what I had lost. So I sold what was left, which was not much, and started riding. Told myself I was looking for a new start, but really I was just running." He kissed the top of her head, a gentle press of lips. "Until I found you. Then I had a reason to stop. We are quite a pair, are not we, both of us carrying ghosts? Maybe that is why we understand each other. We know what it is like to lose, to hurt, to wonder if happiness is even possible anymore." His hand found hers, their fingers intertwining. "But we also know that life keeps going, whether we want it to or not. The question is whether we let the past define us or whether we build something new. I want to build something new." The words came out sure, certain. "With you, if you will have me. There is nothing I want more." They stayed on the hill until full dark, talking about everything and nothing, learning each other's stories, sharing the pieces of themselves they usually kept hidden. When they finally returned to the boarding house, it was late and Mrs. Cooper had left a note saying supper was in the warming oven. They ate together in the kitchen, the only light coming from the lamp on the table, the house quiet around them. It felt domestic, comfortable, like they had been doing this for years instead of days. When they finished, Adam walked her upstairs to her room, kissing her good night at the door with a tenderness that made her ache. "Sleep well," he murmured against her lips. "You too." Lily lay in bed afterward, staring at the ceiling, her body humming with a mix of exhaustion and exhilaration. For the first time since Thomas died, she felt like maybe, just maybe, everything was going to be all right. The next weeks passed in a pleasant rhythm. Lily worked at the boarding house, learning the ins and outs of Mrs. Cooper's operation, slowly building friendships with the other residents and workers. Adam took a job at the livery stable, using his skills with horses to earn steady money. They spent their evenings together, walking through town, sitting on the porch, talking until the stars came out. Martha came by often, delighted with the change in Lily's circumstances. "You look better," she said one afternoon, helping with the laundry. "Got some color in your cheeks again, some life in your eyes. I feel better, better than I have in a long time." Lily hung a sheet on the line, smoothing out the wrinkles. "It is strange how quickly life can change. A month ago, I thought I would be trapped at the Lucky Dollar forever. Now I have a job I enjoy, a place to live that feels like home, and—" She trailed off, not quite sure how to finish the sentence. "And a man who looks at you like you hung the moon," Martha supplied, grinning. "Do not think I have not noticed how you and Adam are practically joined at the hip. When is the wedding?" "Wedding?" Lily felt heat flood her cheeks. "We have not talked about that. Then you should. Because that man is not drifting anymore, and neither are you. You have both found what you were looking for. Seems silly not to make it official." The idea planted itself in Lily's mind, taking root and growing. Marriage. A permanent commitment, a promise of forever. It terrified her and thrilled her in equal measure. That evening, as she and Adam sat on the porch watching the sun set, she gathered her courage. "Martha thinks we should get married." Adam turned to look at her, his expression unreadable. "What do you think?" "I think I want to, but I am scared." "Of what?" "Of losing you." "Everyone I love leaves, Adam. My parents, Thomas. What if something happens to you too? What if I let myself be happy and then it all gets taken away?" The words came out in a rush, all her fears laid bare. Adam pulled her close, his arms strong and sure around her. "I cannot promise that nothing bad will ever happen. Life does not work that way. But I can promise that I am not going anywhere by choice. I love you, Lily Vanderbilt. I have loved you since the moment you told me you did not deserve kindness, and I decided to prove you wrong. I want to spend the rest of my life showing you what you truly deserve, which is every good thing this world has to offer. You love me." The words came out wondering, disbelieving. "With everything I have. Did you not know?" "I hoped, but I was afraid to believe it." She pulled back to look at him, her eyes searching his face. "I love you too, so much it scares me." "Then be scared with me. We will face the fear together, and maybe it will not be so frightening that way." He cupped her face in his hands, his thumbs brushing away tears she had not realized were falling. "Marry me, Lily. Not because Martha thinks we should, but because I cannot imagine my life without you in it. Marry me and let me spend every day proving that you deserve all the love and kindness in the world." "Yes." The word came out choked with emotion. "Yes, I will marry you." He kissed her then, deep and thorough, a promise and a claiming both. When they finally pulled apart, both were breathless, grinning like fools. Mrs. Cooper appeared in the doorway, her eyes twinkling. "I thought I heard good news. Congratulations, you two. When is the happy day?" "We just decided," Lily said, laughing through her tears. "We have not gotten that far yet." "Well, when you do, you let me know. I will help with the preparations. Lord knows this house could use a wedding. Been too long since we had something to celebrate." They settled on a date 2 weeks away. Time enough to make preparations, but not so long that nerves could take over. Lily wrote to her aunt in Kansas, the only family she had left, though she was not sure the letter would reach her in time. Martha helped her sew a dress, simple white cotton with lace at the collar and cuffs. Nothing fancy but beautiful in its simplicity. Adam bought a suit, dark wool that made his gray eyes stand out, and arranged with the minister for the ceremony to take place in the small church on Sunday after services. The whole town was invited, which in Saint Elmo meant everyone would be there. The night before the wedding, Lily lay awake, her mind too active for sleep. Tomorrow she would become Adam's wife, would promise herself to him in front of God and the whole town. It should have terrified her, but instead she felt calm, certain, as if every step of her life had been leading to this moment. She thought about Thomas, wondered what he would think of Adam, of the life she was building. She liked to imagine he would be happy for her, would approve of the man she had chosen. Thomas had always wanted her to be safe, to be loved, to have all the things their parents' deaths and their poverty had denied them. Now she was getting that chance, and she knew she owed it at least partly to him. If he had not gotten sick, if she had not gone into debt to Marcus, she never would have been in the lucky dollar the day Adam rode into town. Strange how tragedy could lead to joy, how the worst moments of life could contain the seeds of the best ones. The wedding day dawned clear and bright, one of those perfect Colorado mornings where the sky was so blue it almost hurt to look at. Lily dressed with Martha's help, her hands shaking slightly as she fastened the buttons on her dress. Mrs. Cooper had woven wildflowers into a crown for her hair, purple and yellow and white blossoms that smelled of summer. "You look beautiful," Martha said, her eyes misty. "Like an angel. I feel like I am dreaming, like at any moment I will wake up and find myself back at the Lucky Dollar and none of this will be real." "It is real, child. This is your life now, your happy ending." Martha hugged her tight. "You deserve this. You deserve every bit of happiness coming your way." They walked to the church together, Lily's stomach full of butterflies. The building was packed, every pew filled with townspeople come to witness the ceremony. But Lily only had eyes for Adam, standing at the front with the minister, looking handsome and nervous and perfect. When she took her place beside him, he reached for her hand, his grip warm and steady. "You are the most beautiful thing I have ever seen," he whispered. "You are not so bad yourself." The minister began the ceremony, his voice resonant in the small space. Lily barely heard the words, too focused on Adam's face, on the love shining clear in his eyes. When it came time for the vows, her voice was steady and sure. "I, Lily Vanderbilt, take you, Adam Ashford, to be my lawfully wedded husband. I promise to love you, to honor you, to stand by you through whatever life brings. You showed me that I deserve kindness, that I deserve love, that I deserve a life beyond mere survival. I will spend the rest of my days showing you the same. This I vow, before God and these witnesses." Adam's vows were equally heartfelt, his voice thick with emotion. When the minister pronounced them man and wife, the church erupted in applause and cheers. Adam kissed her, thorough and deep, and Lily felt like she was flying. The reception was held at the boarding house, Mrs. Cooper having outdone herself with food and decorations. There was music and dancing, laughter and joy, everyone celebrating the union of two people who had found each other against all odds. Even Marcus Webb showed up, offering his congratulations and a bottle of good whiskey. "I am glad you found your happiness, Lily," he said, his tone sincere. "You deserve it after everything Marcus put you through. Thank you, Marshall, for doing the right thing." He tipped his hat and moved on, leaving Lily and Adam alone for a moment in the midst of the celebration. "Mrs. Ashford," Adam said, trying out the name, "has a nice ring to it, it does." She leaned into him, savoring the warmth of his body, the solid reality of his presence. "I cannot believe this is my life now. Believe it, this is just the beginning." He kissed her temple, his lips lingering. "We have the rest of our lives to build something beautiful together. Where are we going to live? We cannot stay at the boarding house forever. Actually, I wanted to talk to you about that." Adam looked almost shy, a rare expression for him. "I have been saving money, and I talked to a man who owns some land outside town. Good land with water and timber, perfect for building. I thought maybe we could buy it, build our own place. Nothing fancy, just a house and a barn, maybe some chickens and a vegetable garden. What do you think?" "I think it sounds perfect." Lily felt tears prick her eyes again, happy tears this time. "A home of our own. I cannot think of anything I would want more." "Then that is what we will do. We will build a life together, Lily. A good life, full of love and laughter and all the things you deserve." They danced until late into the night, surrounded by friends and well-wishers, celebrating not just their marriage but their survival, their perseverance, their refusal to let the hardships of life break them. When the party finally wound down and the guests began to leave, Adam swept Lily into his arms and carried her up the stairs to their room, their private sanctuary. He set her down gently, his hands trembling slightly as they worked the buttons of her dress. "I want to do this right," he said softly. "I want to make this special for you. It already is. You already are." She helped him with the buttons, her own fingers clumsy with anticipation and nerves. "I love you, Adam, more than I ever thought possible. I love you too, more than words can say." They came together with tenderness and passion both, learning each other's bodies, finding the rhythm that was uniquely theirs. Afterward, lying tangled in the sheets, Lily felt complete in a way she never had before. This was what she had been missing, what she had been afraid to hope for. Connection, intimacy, love that went deeper than words. "Are you happy?" Adam asked, his fingers tracing lazy patterns on her bare shoulder. "Happier than I knew how to be. You gave me that, Adam. You showed me what I truly deserve. We gave it to each other. You saved me as much as I saved you." He pulled her closer until there was no space between them. "Thank you for taking a chance on a drifter cowboy with more hope than sense. Thank you for not giving up on me, even when I tried to push you away." They fell asleep like that, wrapped around each other, two souls who had found their home at last. The following months were the happiest of Lily's life. She and Adam purchased the land Adam had mentioned, 20 acres of prime Colorado mountain country, with a creek running through it and views that took her breath away. They spent their weekends clearing the site, planning the layout of their house and outbuildings, dreaming about the future they would build together. Adam proved to be a skilled carpenter, and with help from some of the men in town, the house began to take shape. It was modest, just 4 rooms and a porch, but it was solid and well built, designed to withstand the harsh mountain winters. Lily helped where she could, learning to hammer nails and saw boards, taking pride in every piece of their home that took form. They moved in just as the first snow began to fall, their furniture sparse but sufficient. Mrs. Cooper had given them a quilt as a wedding present, and Martha had contributed pots and pans and dishes. The rest they bought with their savings, piece by piece, building their household the way they were building their life, with patience and love and determination. That first winter was hard, the snow piling deep and the temperatures dropping below zero, but they weathered it together. Adam worked at the livery stable when he could get there, and took on odd jobs around their property when he could not. Lily continued working for Mrs. Cooper 3 days a week, the income helping to supplement their savings. In the spring, as the snow melted and the world turned green again, Lily realized she was pregnant. The discovery filled her with joy and terror in equal measure. She had always wanted children, but after Thomas's death, she had not let herself think about it, afraid to hope for that kind of future. She told Adam one evening as they sat on their porch watching the sunset, the words tumbling out in a nervous rush. He stared at her for a long moment, his expression unreadable, and fear gripped her heart. What if he was not ready? What if this changed things between them? Then his face split into the widest grin she had ever seen, and he swept her into his arms, spinning her around until she laughed and begged him to stop. "We are going to have a baby?" he asked, his voice filled with wonder. "Really and truly, really and truly." "I am about 3 months along, I think. The baby should come in late autumn. This is the best news, the very best." He set her down gently, his hands going to her still flat stomach. "Hello in there, little one. Your mother and I cannot wait to meet you." Lily's pregnancy progressed smoothly, though the summer heat made her uncomfortable, and the morning sickness lasted longer than she would have liked. Adam was attentive and caring, taking over more of the physical labor, making sure she rested and ate well. Martha and Mrs. Cooper fussed over her constantly, offering advice and support in equal measure. As autumn approached and Lily grew large with child, She found herself thinking often about Thomas, wishing he could be there to meet his niece or nephew. She talked to Adam about it one night, lying in bed with his hand on her swollen belly, feeling their baby move beneath his palm. "I wish Thomas could have met you," she said softly. "He would have liked you, and he would have been such a good uncle. Tell me about him. What was he like before he got sick?" So Lily did, sharing stories of her brother that she had kept locked away for so long. Thomas's laugh, bright and infectious. His terrible singing voice that he inflicted on her anyway. The way he could fix anything mechanical, taking apart clocks and watches and putting them back together better than before. His protectiveness, his kindness, his dreams of one day having enough money to buy their own land and build a real home. He would be so happy to see this, she said, gesturing to the house, to the life they had built. He always wanted me to be safe, to be loved. You gave me that, Adam. You gave me everything Thomas wanted for me. Then I am glad. And I hope, wherever he is, he knows that you are happy and cared for. Adam kissed her forehead, his hand still resting on her belly. We will tell our children about him, keep his memory alive. He will not be forgotten. In late October, as the aspens turned gold and the first frost touched the ground, Lily went into labor. It was a long, difficult birth, lasting through the night and into the next day. Mrs. Cooper attended her, along with the town doctor, while Adam paced outside, wearing grooves in the porch with his worried walking. Finally, just as the sun was setting on the second day, a baby's cry rang out, strong and healthy and perfect. Mrs. Cooper emerged from the bedroom, her face exhausted but smiling. "You have a son, Adam. A big, healthy boy." Adam rushed inside to find Lily propped up against pillows, looking pale and worn but radiantly happy, a tiny bundle cradled in her arms. She looked up when he entered, her eyes shining with tears. "Meet Thomas Adam Ashford," she said, pulling back the blanket to reveal a red-faced infant with a shock of dark hair. "Our son." Adam crossed to the bed, his own eyes wet, and looked down at the miracle in his wife's arms. His son. Their son, named for the brother who had brought them together in a way. "He is perfect," Adam whispered, reaching out to touch the baby's tiny hand. Thomas's fingers immediately wrapped around his father's finger, gripping tight. "Hello, little man. Welcome to the world." Lily watched them, her heart so full she thought it might burst. This was her family, this man and this baby and this life they had built from the ashes of tragedy. This was what she deserved, what Adam had promised to show her. Love, safety, belonging, joy. The first years of Thomas's life passed in a blur of sleepless nights and tiny milestones, each one celebrated with as much fanfare as a birthday. His first smile, his first tooth, his first word, which was, delightfully, "Mama." Adam proved to be a devoted father, patient and playful, teaching his son about horses and carpentry and the land they called home. When Thomas was 2, Lily became pregnant again. This time the pregnancy was easier, and when their daughter arrived on a warm June morning in 1887, it felt like a benediction. They named her Sarah, after Mrs. Cooper, who had become like family to them both. Life settled into a comfortable rhythm. Adam expanded their property, buying more land and building a proper barn for the horses he bred and trained. Lily kept a large garden, sold eggs and butter to Mrs. Cooper for the boarding house, and raised their children with a fierceness that came from knowing how precious and fragile life could be. Saint Elmo thrived around them, the silver mine still productive, new families moving in, the town growing and changing. Marcus Webb, unable to tolerate the loss of his power and reputation after the marshal's ruling, eventually left town, though rumors said he was running a similar operation in Leadville. Lily felt only relief at his departure, grateful that her children would grow up in a world where he had no power. Martha remained a constant presence, becoming Aunt Martha to Thomas and Sarah, spoiling them with cookies and attention. Mrs. Cooper watched the children when Lily and Adam needed time alone, never complaining about sticky fingers on her furniture or loud games in her parlor. One evening, when Thomas was 5 and Sarah 3, Lily and Adam sat on their porch watching their children play in the yard, chasing fireflies in the gathering dusk. Thomas was patient with his little sister, helping her catch the glowing insects and laughing at her delight. "Do you remember," Lily said, leaning against Adam's shoulder, "when you told me you wanted to show me what I truly deserve? I remember. You told me you did not deserve kindness. I was so wrong. I deserved all of this. The love, the family, the home, the life. I just could not see it because I was too busy punishing myself for things that were not my fault." She turned to look at him, her hazel eyes warm with love. "Thank you for being stubborn enough to prove me wrong. Thank you for being brave enough to let me." Adam kissed her, sweet and lingering, a kiss that still held all the promise of that first one years ago. "I love you, Lily Ashford, more today than yesterday and less than tomorrow. I love you too, always and forever." They sat together as the stars came out, watching their children play, listening to the sounds of the night settling around their homestead. The ghosts of the past were still there, Thomas Vanderbilt and Adam's father, the years of struggle and pain and fear, but they no longer haunted. They were part of the story, chapters that had led to this moment, this life, this perfect evening where everything was exactly as it should be. Years continued to pass, bringing changes and challenges, joys and sorrows. A third child arrived, another boy they named William, who had his mother's auburn hair and his father's gray eyes. The land prospered under Adam's care, their horses gaining a reputation throughout the region for quality and temperament. Lily's garden became famous in Saint Elmo, her vegetables and herbs the best available. Thomas grew into a thoughtful, intelligent boy who loved books and learning, reminding Lily so much of her brother that sometimes it hurt to look at him. Sarah was her father's daughter, happiest when working with the horses, fearless and determined. William was the baby, charming and mischievous, keeping his parents on their toes. As the children grew, Lily and Adam made sure to tell them stories of their namesakes. Thomas learned about his uncle who had loved mechanics and had dreams of land and home. Sarah learned about Mrs. Cooper's kindness and generosity. William learned about Adam's father and the ranch in Texas, the legacy of hard work and integrity. The children grew up knowing that life was precious, that family was everything, that kindness mattered. They grew up secure in the knowledge that they were loved, wanted, cherished. They grew up watching their parents' love for each other, the small gestures and quiet moments that demonstrated what a real partnership looked like. When Thomas the younger was 15, Sarah 13, and William 10, Lily turned 40. Adam planned a surprise party, inviting half the town to their property for a celebration. As Lily stood surrounded by friends and family, watching her children laugh and play, she felt overwhelmed with gratitude. "Quite a life you have built," Mrs. Cooper said, appearing at her elbow. The older woman was in her 70s now, her hair completely white, but her eyes were still sharp and kind. "Remember when you first came to my boarding house? So scared, so sure you did not deserve anything good. I remember. I thought I would work for you for a few months, then drift away to somewhere else. I never imagined this." Lily gestured to the party, the house, the land, the people. But Adam knew. He took one look at you and decided he was staying. Best decision that boy ever made, if you ask me. Lily found Adam in the crowd, talking to some of the men about horses. As if sensing her gaze, he looked up, their eyes meeting across the distance. He smiled, that slow, warm smile that still made her heart flutter after nearly 15 years of marriage, and started toward her. "There is my beautiful wife," he said, pulling her into his arms despite the audience. "How does it feel to be 40? Like being 39, only with more gray hair. I like the gray hair. Makes you look distinguished." He kissed her nose, making her laugh. "I have something for you. A present. Adam, you have given me so much already. The party, the necklace this morning, you do not need to give me anything else. This is not from me. Well, it is, but it is not something I bought." He pulled a folded piece of paper from his pocket. "I did some research, wrote some letters. This is the deed to the land your brother used to dream about buying. The plot outside of town, near the creek, that he always talked about. I bought it in both your names, yours and his. I thought maybe we could build something there, a workshop maybe, or rent it out. Whatever you want. But Thomas's name will be on the deed. His dream will have come true, even if he is not here to see it." Lily stared at the paper through a blur of tears, her throat too tight to speak. Even after all these years, Adam still found ways to show her she was loved, to honor the people and memories that mattered to her. "How did you even remember that? I only mentioned it once years ago." "I remember everything you tell me. Every story, every dream, every fear. You are my world, Lily. Your happiness is mine." He folded her hands around the deed, his own hands warm and steady. "This is what you deserve. Not just the land, but a partner who listens, who remembers, who tries to make your dreams come true. This is what I have been trying to show you since the day we met." She kissed him then, not caring about the audience, pouring every ounce of love and gratitude into the connection. When they pulled apart, there were cheers and applause, their children making exaggerated gagging noises that made everyone laugh. As the party continued into the evening, Lily found a quiet moment to slip away to the small family cemetery they had established on their land. It held 2 graves, Adam's father and Lily's brother, both of them laid to rest in the place their children had built. She stood before Thomas's headstone, the deed still clutched in her hand. "We did it," she whispered to the carved stone. "We got the land you dreamed about. And I have the family, the home, the life we always talked about. I wish you were here to see it, but I hope, wherever you are, you know. You know that I am happy, that I am loved, that I am living enough for both of us." The wind rustled through the trees, carrying the scent of pine and earth, and Lily let herself believe it was Thomas's way of saying he knew, he approved, he was at peace. Adam found her there a few minutes later, slipping his arm around her waist. "You all right?" "More than all right. I was just telling Thomas about the land, about our life, thanking him in a way for getting sick." Adam tensed. "What? If he had not gotten sick, I never would have needed to borrow money from Marcus. I never would have been at the Lucky Dollar the day you rode into town. Everything terrible that happened, it led me to you, to this. So in a strange way, I am grateful for it all. The pain, the loss, the fear, because it brought me here to this moment, to this life." She turned in his embrace, looking up at his beloved face. "You showed me what I truly deserve, Adam. And it was so much more than I ever imagined. We are not done yet. We have years left to keep showing each other, to keep building this life we have created." He kissed her forehead, gentle and reverent. "I am going to love you until the day I die, Lily Ashford. And even then, I will find a way to keep loving you. Promise, promise." They walked back to the party together, hand in hand, ready to rejoin the celebration of a life well lived, a love well earned, a future bright with possibility. Behind them, the mountains stood eternal, witness to their story, guardian of their dreams. The years that followed brought the inevitable changes of time. The children grew up and began to forge their own paths. Thomas the younger, true to his namesake's legacy, developed a passion for engineering and mechanics, eventually leaving for Denver to study at a technical school. He wrote home regularly, his letters full of excitement about trains and bridges and all the modern wonders of the late 19th century. Sarah surprised no one when she asked to take over the horse breeding operation. At 18, she had a natural talent with the animals that surpassed even her father's, and Adam was more than happy to begin teaching her the business side of things. She worked alongside him every day, learning about bloodlines and training methods and negotiating with buyers. William, the youngest, inherited his mother's love of growing things. He expanded the garden into a small farm operation, selling produce to restaurants and hotels as far away as Leadville and Pueblo. He had a gift for coaxing life from the soil, and under his care, the family's land became even more productive. Lily and Adam aged together, their hair turning gray, their faces creasing with lines earned through laughter and hard work. They took pride in watching their children thrive, in seeing the values they had instilled take root and flourish. But they never forgot the hard journey that had brought them to this place of peace and prosperity. On their 20th wedding anniversary, Adam took Lily back to the Lucky Dollar. It had changed hands several times since Marcus left, and was now run by a pleasant couple from Kansas who had turned it into a respectable establishment with good food and no gambling. They sat at the bar where they had first met, drinking the same whiskey Adam had ordered that long-ago day. "Do you ever regret it?" Lily asked, swirling the amber liquid in her glass. "Stopping here, getting involved with a broken woman and her problems." "Not for a single second. You were never broken, Lily. You were bent, maybe, worn down by circumstances beyond your control, but never broken. You just needed someone to remind you of your own strength." Adam covered her hand with his, their wedding bands clicking together. "Marrying you was the best decision I ever made. You gave me a home, a family, a purpose. You gave me everything that matters. You gave me the same. You showed me what I truly deserve, which was love, respect, partnership. You never gave up on me, even when I gave up on myself." She leaned over and kissed him, soft and sweet. "I love you, Adam Ashford. Today, tomorrow, and always. And I love you, Lily Ashford, my wife, my partner, my heart." They finished their drinks and walked out into the Colorado evening, the summer air warm and pleasant. Saint Elmo had changed over the years, growing larger, more prosperous, but the mountains remained constant, eternal witnesses to all the human dramas played out in their shadow. As they rode home together on the wagon, Lily leaned against Adam's shoulder and thought about the strange, winding path that had led her from that terrible day, when Thomas died, to this moment of perfect contentment. If someone had told her 20 years ago that she would end up here, married to a kind man with 3 beautiful children and a prosperous homestead, she would not have believed them. She had been so sure that happiness was not meant for people like her, that she was destined for nothing but struggle and pain. But Adam had shown her different. He had proven, through actions more than words, that she was worthy of love, of kindness, of all good things. He had seen past her defenses to the woman underneath, the one who was strong and capable and deserving. And in seeing her that way, he had helped her see herself that way too. That was the greatest gift he had given her, even more than the home or the children or the years of happiness. He had given her back herself, had shown her that she was more than her mistakes, more than her guilt, more than her fear. He had shown her what she truly deserved. When they reached home, Sarah was waiting on the porch, concern on her face. "Mama, Papa," William fell from the hay loft. "He is all right, just bruised and shaken, but I thought you should know." They found William in the house, being fussed over by Mrs. Cooper, who had come for dinner. The boy was indeed fine, sporting a spectacular bruise on his shoulder but grinning through the attention. Lily checked him over with a mother's practiced eye, satisfied that nothing was seriously wrong. "You scared me," she scolded gently, pulling him into a hug despite his protests that he was too old for such things at 13. No more climbing in the hay loft without someone watching. "Yes, Mama." That night, after William was tucked into bed and Sarah had retired to her room, Lily and Adam sat in their bedroom, the window open to let in the cool night breeze. They had made love earlier, slow and tender, their bodies still knowing each other after 20 years, still finding pleasure in the familiar touch and taste. "I thought I was going to lose him for a moment," Lily admitted, curled against Adam's side. "When Sarah said he fell, all I could think was not again. I cannot lose another person I love. But you did not lose him. He is fine, sleeping peacefully down the hall, probably dreaming about whatever 13-year-old boys dream about." Adam's hand stroked through her hair, soothing. "You cannot live in fear of loss, Lily. It will poison every happy moment." "I know, but sometimes the fear still catches me. The memory of watching Thomas die, of being so helpless, it never quite goes away. It is not supposed to go away. The people we love, the ones we lose, they stay with us always. But they do not have to haunt us. They can inspire us instead, remind us to cherish what we have while we have it." He kissed the top of her head. "Your brother would want you to be happy, not afraid. He would want you to embrace life, not spend it waiting for the other shoe to drop. You are right. You are always right." She tilted her head up to look at him, her eyes soft in the lamplight. "How did I get so lucky finding you? I think we found each other. Two lost souls who needed exactly what the other had to offer." He smiled, that slow, warm smile that still made her heart skip. "And I am the lucky one. I got to watch you bloom, got to see you transform from a scared woman in a saloon to the strong, confident, beautiful person you were always meant to be. That has been my privilege, Lily, to witness your becoming." She kissed him then, deep and searching, and they made love again, reaffirming the bond between them, celebrating the life they had built and the love that sustained them. The seasons turned as they always did. Thomas the Younger graduated from his technical school and took a job with the railroad, eventually marrying a pretty schoolteacher from Denver. They visited often, bringing grandchildren that filled the house with noise and laughter. Sarah never married, too devoted to the horses and the land, but she seemed content with her choice, building a life and a reputation that was entirely her own. William eventually took over a schoolmate's affections, a sweet girl named Emma who shared his love of farming, and they built a house on the far edge of the family property. Lily and Adam grew older, their steps slower, their hair white, their bodies bearing the marks of lives well lived. But their love never diminished. If anything, it grew stronger, deeper, rooted in decades of shared experience and mutual devotion. On their 40th wedding anniversary, their children and grandchildren gathered at the homestead for a celebration. The house was packed with family, 3 generations of Ashfords who owed their existence to that day when a drifter cowboy walked into a saloon and decided to save a woman who thought she did not deserve saving. As Lily looked around at all the faces, all the love and life that had sprung from that single decision, she felt overwhelmed with gratitude. This was her legacy, this family, this love, this life. All of it born from tragedy and kindness in equal measure. Adam found her in the midst of the chaos, pulling her outside to the porch where they could have a moment of relative quiet. The sun was setting over the mountains, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink and purple, a masterpiece of nature that never got old. 40 years, Adam said, his arm around her waist. Can you believe it? Barely. It feels like yesterday that I was that frightened girl behind the bar and you were the strange man who would not leave me alone. She leaned into him, fitting perfectly against his side as she had for 4 decades. Best day of my life, the day you rode into Saint Elmo, mine too. Though I did not know it then. I just knew I had to talk to you, had to find out why your eyes were so sad. He turned her to face him, his hands gentle on her shoulders. I made you a promise that day. Do you remember what it was? You said you would show me what I truly deserve. And did I? Did I keep my promise? Lily looked back through the window at the house full of family, then around at the land they had built their life on, then finally up at the man she loved more than life itself. You kept your promise, Adam. Every single day for 40 years, you showed me that I deserve love, respect, kindness, family, home. You showed me that I am worthy of good things, of happiness, of a life that is more than just surviving. You gave me everything I needed and so much of what I wanted. You kept your promise. Good. Because I intend to keep it for however many years we have left, showing you every day what you truly deserve. He kissed her, tender and sweet, a kiss that held 40 years of devotion and the promise of whatever time remained. They stood together on the porch as the stars came out, the sounds of their family a comforting backdrop, and Lily thought about the long, strange journey that had led her here. From orphaned girl to worried sister, to indebted servant to beloved wife and mother and grandmother. Every step, every choice, every moment of pain and joy had shaped her into who she was. She was no longer the woman who believed she did not deserve kindness. She had learned, through Adam's patient love and her own hard-won strength, that she deserved everything. The good and the bad, the joy and the sorrow, the love and the loss. All of it was hers to claim, to embrace, to live fully. And she had lived. Oh, how she had lived. She had loved deeply, worked hard, raised children, built a home, created a legacy. She had taken the broken pieces of her early life and forged them into something beautiful. She had become the woman she was always meant to be. As they finally went back inside to rejoin the celebration, Adam's hand in hers, Lily sent up a silent prayer of thanks. Thanks for the trials that had made her strong, for the losses that had taught her to cherish what remained, for the love that had healed her wounded heart. And most of all, thanks for the stubborn cowboy who had refused to let her drown in her own despair, who had thrown her a lifeline and then pulled her to shore. He had shown her what she truly deserved, and it was more, so much more than she had ever dared to imagine. It was a life lived fully, a love given freely, a family built on bedrock of mutual respect and devotion. It was happiness earned through struggle, joy born from sorrow, hope rising from despair. It was everything. And it was enough. More than enough. It was perfect. The party continued late into the night, filled with music and dancing and storytelling. The grandchildren begged for tales of the old days, and Adam obliged, recounting the story of how he and Lily met, how he had known from the first moment that she was special, how he had convinced her to take a chance on him. The children listened with wide eyes, romanticizing the story as the young always did, not understanding the true depth of pain and fear that had preceded the happy ending. But that was all right. They did not need to understand. They just needed to know that love was worth fighting for, that kindness mattered, that broken things could be mended. As the last guests finally departed, and the house settled into quiet, Lily and Adam prepared for bed, moving through their nighttime routine with the practiced ease of decades. They climbed into bed together, the same bed they had shared for nearly 40 years, and curled together as they always did. "I love you," Lily whispered into the darkness. "I love you too," Adam replied, his voice already heavy with sleep. "See you in the morning, see you in the morning." They drifted off together, hands clasped, hearts beating in synchrony, two souls who had found their perfect match against all odds. And if their dreams were filled with memories of the past and hopes for the future, well, that was only fitting. They had earned both the right to remember and the right to dream. The years that followed were gentle ones. Adam and Lily slowly handed over the daily operations of the homestead to their children, content to play the role of grandparents and advisors rather than primary workers. They spent their days in simple pleasures, tending a smaller garden, sitting on the porch, visiting with friends, playing with grandchildren. Lily continued to visit Thomas's grave regularly, bringing flowers in the summer, evergreen boughs in the winter. She talked to him still, sharing updates about the family, about the life she had built, about the happiness she had found. She liked to think he could hear her, that he was proud of what she had become. Adam's health began to decline first, his joints stiff with arthritis, his breath sometimes short. But his mind remained sharp, his spirit undimmed. He still made Lily laugh daily, still told her she was beautiful, still looked at her like she was the most precious thing in his world. When Adam was 72, he suffered a stroke that left him partially paralyzed. Lily cared for him with the same devotion he had shown her throughout their marriage, refusing to let him be moved to a hospital or nursing facility. He belonged at home, on their land, surrounded by family. On a cool October morning, as the aspens turned gold and the air smelled of autumn, Adam slipped away in his sleep. Lily was beside him, her hand in his, just as it had been for 53 years of marriage. She knew the moment he left, felt the absence like a physical blow. The grief was immense, overwhelming, a tidal wave that threatened to pull her under. But she weathered it, supported by her children and grandchildren, sustained by the memories of a life well lived and a love well shared. She knew, with absolute certainty, that Adam would not want her to drown in sorrow. He would want her to remember the joy, to celebrate what they had shared, to keep living until it was her time to join him. They buried him next to Thomas Vanderbilt, the brother whose death had inadvertently brought them together. At the funeral, Lily stood straight and strong. Her family gathered around her and spoke of the man who had changed her life. Adam Ashford was the kindest man I ever knew, she said, her voice steady despite the tears on her cheeks. When we met, I was convinced I did not deserve kindness, that I was not worthy of love or happiness. But Adam saw through that lie. He saw the truth of who I was, and he decided to show me what I truly deserved. He spent 53 years keeping that promise, showing me every single day that I was worthy, that I was loved, that I was cherished. He gave me a life I never dreamed possible, a family I treasure more than anything, a love that will sustain me until we meet again. That was his gift to me, and I will be grateful for it until my dying day. After the funeral, life settled into a new normal. Lily remained in the house she and Adam had built, refusing all suggestions that she move in with one of the children. This was her home, filled with memories of the man she loved, and she would not leave it. She lived another 7 years, active and engaged, watching her grandchildren grow and welcoming great-grandchildren into the world. She told them stories of their grandfather, of the life they had built together, of the love that had sustained them through everything. When Lily finally passed, peacefully in her sleep at the age of 82, she was laid to rest between Adam and Thomas, the two men who had shaped her life in such profound ways. Her funeral was attended by over 100 people. 3 generations of family and friends come to pay their respects to a woman who had lived fully and loved deeply. Her children, standing at her grave, marveled at the legacy she left behind. Not just the land or the family, though those were significant. but the legacy of resilience, of believing that everyone deserves kindness, of understanding that broken things can be mended if given enough love and patience. And so the story came full circle. From that day in June 1883, when a cowboy rode into Saint Elmo and met a woman who thought she did not deserve kindness, to this moment in 1945, when 3 generations gathered to say goodbye to the matriarch who had shown them all what love really meant. Adam had kept his promise. He had shown Lily what she truly deserved, and in doing so had given her a life rich with love, full of joy, complete in every way that mattered. Their story became legend in Saint Elmo, passed down through the years as a testament to the power of kindness, the strength of love, and the courage it takes to believe that happiness is possible even after heartbreak. And if sometimes, on quiet evenings, people claim to see 2 figures sitting on the porch of the old Ashford homestead, holding hands and watching the sunset, well, perhaps that was just fitting. Some loves are too strong for even death to sever. Some promises are kept for eternity, the end.